We're gonna eat right now.
No, but I just feel like I'm so hungry I could eat 2019 Mkleos, like Evo Mkleos. You know what I mean?
You can dread it, you can run from it, but in the end, Mkleos will arise.
TK, how the hell did he do it?
He's already been cemented as the GOAT, right? But there is no question after this.
The curious case of Mkleo is one that has been studied countless times. A player historically touted as one of the greatest to have ever played the game, if not the greatest. With impeccable achievements, the GOAT himself has really never been seen to falter. And yet, in the modern day, top talent has performed to such a high standard that people are often questioning to themselves, is he still the greatest of all time? And really, how good was Mkleo? Well, luckily for you, in today's video, I will be answering exactly that. Now let me hang up the coat and turn the lights on. Alright, now that I've turned the lights on, let's really get into it. So according to Google, Mkleos Peak stretches from May of 2019 until March of 2022, where he attended 37 tournaments and made it to grand finals within each and every single one of them. And this was really began back in MomoCon 2019 with a first place victory over Tweak, and it concluded in 2022 with a 4th place finish to Proto Banham at Smash Ultimate Summit 4. That is Google's definition of his peak. However, I dispute this slightly. Although I do agree that MomoCon 2019 was the starting point, I do believe that his peak spans a little bit longer than what they're giving him credit for. And I think it actually goes all the way until Super Smash Con 2022, which is actually the tournament where he got 3-0'd by Onin in the winner's bracket and then subsequently defeated 3-2 against Gluttony in the loser's bracket, resulting in a 5th place finish. The reason that I include this period as part of his peak is because after being eliminated at 4th place at Ultimate Summit 4, he actually didn't really have a fall off skill-wise, and instead would just go right back to getting grand finals at every single tournament he attended until August, which was 6 months later, which I think definitely needs to be included because it almost seems like, you know, Ultimate Summit 4 was more of a fluke than really it being him actually just playing terribly. I think it was considered maybe a chink in the armor at the time, but it really wasn't a huge dip from then on. He actually maintained his exact same ranking up until Super Smash Con. Why I consider Super Smash Con 2022 to be the end of his peak is because it would go on to be yet another tournament that Mkleo would place outside of the grand finals, and instead would get a 5th place finish, which, if you remember, is worse than the 4th place finish he would go on to get at Ultimate Summit 4. However, this is not even the reason that I would say that this is the end of his peak, but instead because of how he would rebound, or the lack thereof of a rebound, going into his future tournaments after this. You see, after Super Smash Con, Leo would go on to attend Rise and Grind the next week, and he would actually go on to win this tournament. However, it was a relatively easy tournament for a player of his caliber. And the next tournament he would enter after that, Ultimate Summit 5, he would go on to get 9th place, which is quite poor for him for a number of reasons. The first of which being that this means he couldn't even keep up his streak of getting grand finals at every tournament he goes to for more than a single tournament straight. He won one and then lost even worse than he had lost just 2 weeks ago. So this really goes to show, like, after Summit 4, he really rebounded and he showed that wasn't supposed to happen. But now it was seeming like that was supposed to happen. And he kind of you know, he performed even worse than he had just done at Super Smash Con, so that's not very good. The second reason is the fact that this would be the first time that Mkleo would place out of the top 8 at any tournament he had attended since Umebora Japan Major back in May of 2019, which would be just a little over 3 years before this. So you could tell there was a drop-off from the plateau that was his peak at this time. And that's why I feel like Super Smash Con can definitely mark when it concluded, because ever since then, his placements outside of grand finals and outside of top 8 had just become more and more frequent. If you go on to include the peak that I just laid out during that 6-month stretch post Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Summit 4, Mkleo, during his 42 majors he attended from May of 2019 all the way until December of 2022, Mkleo made it to grand finals in 41 of the 42 tournaments, and the one that he didn't, he got 4th place. So that is just incredible. However, due to the rise in top talent, especially over recent years, and the incredible performances of some of the game's most elite players, I think it can be argued that there are definitely some people who have rivaled or maybe even surpassed Mkleo at his peak, and I'm going to be discussing them right now. I think the 3 main contestants for people who could be considered as having a higher peak than Leo would be Spargo, Acola, and Mia. I'm going to go through them one by one and decide once and for all how good Mkleo really was. Alright, the first person that I'll put into this GOAT conversation is going to be Mkleo's Mexican brother, Spargo. Surprisingly enough, we can actually get Spargo out of the way relatively easily. And this is mainly because Spargo, although having extremely high highs, has also had massive underperformances all throughout his career sprinkled in. And this just kind of takes him out of the conversation because he just doesn't have any stretch that's even comparable to Mkleo at his peak, and I will lay out exactly why. With placements such as 17th at Genesis X2, 17th at Port Priority 8, 33rd at Kaguribi 12, 49th at Super Smash Con, and then last place at Ultimate Summit 6. Spargo is obviously an incredibly good player, but to call him the greatest of all time, it just wouldn't make any sense. That leaves us with just Acola and Mia left. And first, let's look at Acola. Now, Acola's peak stretches from November of 2023 to May of 2024. This was a 20 tournament stretch that showed insane performances throughout A, S, and P tier tournaments. This stretch would include insane placements such as first at Summit 6, first at Super Smash Con 2023, first at Kaguribi 9, first at Umebora SP9, third place at Port Priority 8, and second place at Kaguribi 11. So overall, this is just a stacked roster of placements, and this isn't even going through all of them. During this 20 tournament stretch, Acola would go on to get first place at 17 of the 20 tournaments, and he would never place outside of the top 3 at any of them. This is just incredible. Acola would go on to dominate both the American and Japanese scenes at the same time, juggling them both with one hand. And this streak would end around June of 2024 with a 7th place finish at Supernova, which isn't horrible, but it's not really on par with what he had been doing. Now let's talk about Mia. Mia's peak stretch was going from August 2023 to around November of 2023. This would be a 16 tournament stretch going up to possibly even 20 depending on how forgiving you want to be, and it began at Kaguribi 11 and concluded around the time of Port Priority 8. Mia's key wins during this time would be tournaments like Kaguribi 11, Seibugeki 15, as well as Miyasuma Top 15. And really you may say these aren't extremely high wins, but truly a lot of Mia's best placements during this era were kind of second place finishes. which were still extremely good just due to how consistent they were at extremely hard tournaments such as Port Priority 8, getting a second place to Sonics. During this time, Mia only placed outside of the top 2 a single time, and it was a 3rd place finish at Watch the Throne, which, if you don't know, is maybe the most stacked tournament ever. So this really shouldn't be held too much against him. Although not nearly as long, I feel that this tournament stretch definitely holds the same aura as Mkleos did, where he's definitely expected to win everything that he has entered into, and if he didn't, we at least knew that he was going to get second place. And this is really the mark of a very top talent, and this is why he's in this GOAT conversation. Overall, based on those two players' peaks, I would go slightly leaning toward Acolas as being superior, because it was a bit longer and it was more internationally dominant. However, really it doesn't matter which one you choose to me, because no matter what, neither are very comparable to the peak that I'm about to break down for you from Mkleo. During this period, Mkleo won 2 Genesises.
How we keep meeting like this, man? Again? Another one? Another one.
And got second place at a 3rd one. He won Main Stage 2021, he won Frostbite 2020, he got second place at Pound 2022, he got second place at Double Down, he got first at the Smash World Tour, he got first at EVO, he got first at Super Smash Con, and he got first at CEO. Like, this is not even comparable, bro. It's honestly insane. I mean, even think about the fact that the statistic I just mentioned to you. He, in the 42 major tournaments he attended, he got grand finals at 41 of them. Does that even make sense? Like, your brain can't even really compute that. That's nearly a 98% chance that he makes it to grand finals, and a 100% chance that he makes it to top 4. Plus the fact that this is pretty much double or nearly triple people like Acola or Mia's tournament streaks during their prime. Like, you can't compare these. It's honestly crazy that people even feel the need to at times, and it just goes to show how recency biases people. But if you were really there during the time of Mkleos Peak, it's the most insane thing. We will never witness it again. It's so dominant that nothing could ever compare. Words can't even really describe how crazy these numbers are. I mean, if you don't believe me, just look at this 3-month stretch. Like, this is less than 3-month period. He's just having placements like this normally. I mean, even the fact that his quote-unquote worst placement during this period was a 5th place at a P tier should go to show you if that's breaking your streak of good tournament runs when most people will never do that well in their whole life. Like, this is not, there's levels to this, and they're not in the same league. Nobody's ever gonna do that again. So overall, how good was Mkleo really? He was really, really, really good. Like, he was really good. He is the greatest player of all time. He always will be. It's not really even possible to surpass him because there's just not enough time left in the game and the competition is too fierce now. And yeah, so just give him some respect, man. And give me some respect, okay? Like this video, subscribe. I put a lot of work into it, a lot of time researching this and running the numbers. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy. See ya.